Hello and welcome to Talk a Good Game. Yes, I'm here. Gio's not. He's gone with Tom to a concert. I think Michael Bublé concert. I think they've gone to, the pair of them. So they'll be having a nice time. Maybe it was One Direction. I don't know. Anyway, they've gone to a concert. They're not here. I am. And today for this preview, which is a preview of, excuse me, it's the preview of, I'm getting feedback myself. Absolutely ridiculous. Beg your pardon. Sorry, I was getting feedback there. As you can see, Gio's not here. I'm making a complete hash of it. Anyway, Chelsea are coming to the London Stadium on Saturday. They're playing West Ham in a lunchtime kickoff. If you're going to go down there, please do get down the boats. The link is below. You can have a couple of pints on the boats just outside the stadium, then go in and see how well we do, hopefully quite well, against Conte's men who are in high-flying form. I'll just run through a couple of notes here. They're undefeated in the last 7. Eden Hazard is in excellent form. Young Christensen looks like he'll be starting at centre-back in place of Sideshow Bob. And the referee is, who is that? Anthony Taylor, who is probably going to be dressed in black and carrying a couple of cards and a pencil and booklet in his pocket. Ryan. We're joined by Ryan here. Ryan, Guitar Hammer. Ryan, we've just faced Man City, who are perhaps a little bit more slicker than Chelsea. And Chelsea have maybe altered their style slightly, wouldn't you say, this season?
Yeah, I think it's all down to the purchase of Morata, who someone we insanely have to watch out for, because he's like the highest goal scorer. Every game he does something. He either creates an assist or he scores a goal. And also, they brought in Bakayoko, who's probably got more energy in the engine for the midfield instead of Matic, but he doesn't seem to be performing to Matic's level yet.
No. So what, do you think they made a bit of a ricket selling Matic? Do you think that was a mistake, Ryan?
I don't know yet, because we could be saying this now. Then next year, Bakayoko could be one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. I mean, because he was superb for Monaco. There's a reason why they've paid all this money out for him. You know, and when he was playing at Monaco became the League One champions. So, yeah, well, they've had a bit of a jumble sale, really, haven't they? Monaco lost a hell of a lot of players. Gareth, welcome to the show, mate. Gareth making his debut on a preview. Ryan there was talking about midfielders, Bakayoko. Of course, they've got one in Kante, who's a very good player. I've mentioned Hazard, of course. Morata there as well. Anyone standing out for you? What are your views on Chelsea so far this season?
Yeah, mate, it's good to be on here again. Hazard obviously stands out, the danger man. I'm pretty worried about Zaba on the right, because I think he's going to get skinned for pace. Morata, as Ryan said, obviously he's scoring goals galore. And I also like Rudiger as well in the defence. I think he's a top player, actually. I think he's quite underrated at the minute, and I think the more sort of clean sheets they get, he'll sort of be appreciated more, definitely.
Yeah, well, they look like a very, very good team, and they've, as I say, they're undefeated in the last 7, but actually it's been 6 wins. They've only had 1 draw, and that was against Liverpool. And we've all seen what they're playing like at the moment. So, whilst they might not be held as quite high regard as Man City are at the moment, they're still a horrendously dangerous team, and I think there's an awful lot for us to watch out for them. And we've just named a number of players there. They just played that last night against Atletico Madrid, one of 5 teams to qualify, English teams to qualify for their Champions League group. So you'd have to say the run of fixtures has been incredibly cruel to us, I think, certainly at the start of the season. And then this run up to Christmas, they're certainly trying to spoil it. Let's move on to West Ham now. Before we get into the team itself and who is available, let's just address what I think is the main issue at West Ham at the moment in terms of on the pitch. And let's cut straight to it. That's the goalkeeper. Gareth, what are you doing in goal for this one, mate?
It's Adrian for me. Without a doubt, I think regardless of us losing the game, I mean, some of the saves he pulled off were unbelievable. And I think that you'd be very naive to say Joe Hart should start in goal because he's won X amount of trophies. Do you know what I mean? Adrian was on form. He pulled off some great saves, and I think he's a better reflex goalkeeper. I think Hart commands his box and his defence well. Adrian is the better goalkeeper, and he has to start for me, 100%.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the general consensus, but I think it's hard. It's hard to judge Moyes. He's only had a handful of games yet, but to me, he seems like a manager who may well have his favourites and may well sort of stick to them. We've yet to see what will happen with Andy Carroll, but I've got an inkling that Andy Carroll's one of his favourites. We've heard what Gareth would do. What do you think Moyes will do, Ryan?
Well, it seems like he's going to keep Adrian, because I think you can't drop a player for having a really good performance, because what it does, it just kills the confidence and it will gradually just go through the team. If you're a player that's going to be on the bench all the time and you think you've got a new chance, if you see something like that happen where someone's come in, has an excellent performance and they get dropped the next week, the effort of the players will just go back down again. And there's not going to be no emphasis on trying to rebuild and 10 out of 10 performances and just go back to sixes.
Yeah, well, we've not had you on in a while, Ryan. I mean, what were your thoughts on Hart coming in the first place? Was it a necessary signing?
I mean, during the summer, I was saying we needed a keeper, but unfortunately, Hart wasn't my #1 choice. But when he came in, I just thought, all right, let's see what happens, because last season there was a lot of chopping and changing with Adrian and Randolph, and I just wanted he's solid. You do the team sheet. If you go to us, oh, who's going to be your starting 11? I wanted that one player to be there all the time. And I didn't get that with Adrian and Randolph last season, but it's happened again this season, even though Randolph's left and Hart's come in.
Yeah, I mean, I think there were a number of us that probably wanted a keeper, but I don't think at any point did we ever think that we would get one who might perform worse than Randolph and worse than Adrian. Yeah. So, it's the trouble. He's got a big reputation, and as I mentioned in a cup of tea recently, he's built his reputation behind a very good defence.
Oh yeah, in big ways as well. So there's a lot more emphasis on him to perform, because there's been such an outlay put on him. But
yeah,
against Man City, I thought the defence looked a lot more calmer.
Well, I don't think anyone would disagree. I think the whole defence as a unit was a lot better, which is obviously going to help the goalkeeper. Maybe Joe Hart was even watching that performance and thinking, well, hold on, why haven't I had this defence in front of me that was as organised as this? Which brings us nicely on to the next subject, which is the team as a whole. Now, we try and plan these previews so as they coincide, but the team news coming out. So earlier on, I messaged Ryan, and I said to Ryan, keep an eye on David Moyes' press conference for me, please, because we need to know who's fit, who's included in the squad. And Ryan messaged me back and said, I've searched everywhere, I can't find one. So we didn't have any team news whatsoever. So what I did was I phoned up ex-West Ham United employee, and he picked up the phone. He said, who are you? Stop calling me. Bugger off. So anyway, I went onto Google, and we found out that Chicharito may well be fit. He's trained this week. I don't know whether he's going to start, but it certainly looks like there's going to be a place for him on the bench. Also, it looks like Winston Reid is going to be coming back. So with that in mind, Gareth, we performed admirably in defence. Is Winston Reid walking straight back into that defence?
For me, I would kind of agree with what Ryan was saying about all right and then take a player out. It kind of will knock the morale of the team. So I would keep it the same. I would keep the 5 at the back. You can't fault squad depth. So I think Reedy coming back on the bench is not a bad thing at all. Do you know what I mean? And obviously, if it is going, Pete Tong after 20 minutes, you can change it. But I would keep Rice in there. I would keep Ogbonna in there as well. For me, I would keep it the same defensively. Not talking the whole team, but defensively, I wouldn't change. In my opinion.
Would you not tweak the system slightly to accommodate Reid and to keep Rice in there as well, maybe?
I mean, I was thinking about it earlier, and I think definitely it's got to be a 5, just because I think thinking about Zabra again and someone in behind him to cover for that pace, he is going to get absolutely ripped apart. So just my personal preference would be to keep it the same. But obviously, who knows, with David Moyes, you don't know what he'll do. But obviously, I wouldn't complain if Reid was starting. But just for me, I think you can't really fault the performance at City. I think we did all right. And obviously, it was just last 20 minutes back to the walls. And, but I think we've done all right. But that's just my opinion anyway. But
Yeah, I mean, what did catch my attention was afterwards the interviewer, whoever it was, interviewer Sky or BT, whatever, was pressing Moyes, and he was saying to him, David, did you think that Rice played very well? And he seemed reluctant to give him outright praise. Really, he was saying, "Yeah, he's done okay, but you know, you're going to get mistakes with 18-year-olds." And he wasn't gushing in his praise, and he alluded twice to the fact that he was a young centre back, and that for me probably demonstrates that he'll look to get him out of there as soon as he possibly can. With Reed back, I think it's a shoo-in. I think he'll go straight back in there. Ryan, obviously, we talked about our defence. Gareth alluded to it there as well with Zabaleta back there. I think Zabaleta possibly worked because we were sat so deep. Are we going for the same thing again? Bearing in mind, we're at home. When we played at home against Leicester, of course, the crowd were really loud. The crowd were really up for it. Is that going to force us to attack a little bit more? What do you think is going to happen just with the whole style of play and the tactics?
I think it's going to be very similar to Man City because we're not going to out-possession Chelsea. It's just not going to happen. So Moyes is going to have us, you know, sat back, but not really moving, not pressing. Like, no, just make sure we'll keep everyone has their spaces and rely field to go back and forth across side and across. You know, because that's what really helps a lot of the time. When they was going down the wing, either like Fernandes or Obiang ran to the side, double up. So I think that's what we're going to need to do, especially with Hazard, because he can beat two players. So we're going to need a third player in there anyway. And then if Reed comes in, I imagine he'll be man marking Morata. So instead of to try and get on Morata's chest instead of his feet, because if Morata gets the ball to his feet, he'll just keep turning the centre backs left and right. And
yeah. Well, I'd like to think that our centre backs could hopefully handle Morata a little bit better than the trickier players like when Jesus came on and with Aguero, it was quiet, quite frankly. So sorry, just to know that, would you would bring Reed in and you would keep Fernandes in the team? Are you saying, Ryan?
Yeah. Well, I'd only bring Reed in if he's 100%. If he's not 100%, put him on the bench. Because these are the type of games where we need everyone to be 100%. We can't have someone at 80% or 85, fitness-wise.
Yeah, well, I think he's been out for such a short period of time that he's not going to have lost that much fitness. I think if he's ready and he's trained, he's going to be ready to do the whole game. Really, I think he's such an experienced player that, me personally, I would bring him back in for this one. I do see Rice as a long-term centre-back at West Ham, and I don't mean that as in long-term, he can come in a few years. I would actually start blooding him more and more this season, but I just think in this game, we probably should go with the experience of him. Now, this brings us on to Chicharito. So just to get it into context, this is might not be our record signing, but in terms of wages, we've never paid anything like it to anybody. And this is a guy that's banged the ball into that in the Premier League. He's done it in Spain for Real Madrid. He's done it in the Bundesliga as well. He is a guy that can score goals, but maybe Moyes didn't appreciate his talents whilst at Man United. Also, maybe he's not the sort of player that Moyes can fit into his system. He wants to play. Antonio, up until they had to make some changes, and obviously Kiate went off and Antonio dropped deeper. Antonio looked like a little bit of a threat on the counter. Gareth, number one, do you think he's going to play in this game? And number two, do you think he fits into the whole picture with Moyes? Gareth.
Sorry, mate. Were you talking to me then?
I was, mate. Yeah, Chicharito.
It cut up a little bit. Yeah, no. For me, I would start Sacco in the Chelsea game. Purely on his performance on the weekend. Not on him as a person or what he's done in the past or whatever. Purely on the last game. His work rate, his power, his strength, everything he did, he looked like very dangerous. And X picked up on it last night that regardless of everything, he looks like the person that's going to bang the goals in a minute. So you've got to play him. I think Hernandez coming back is very handy, as I said before, that you can't fault the squad depth. And having him on the bench, bringing him on 70 minutes, you know, it adds a lot of flair and you know, again, he'll have chances and he's capable of putting them away. So I think having him in the squad is obviously a massive bonus to us, definitely. Start Sakho Saturday.
Yeah, well, I think, number one, Moyes has been reluctant to start Sakho at all. I think he's been reluctant to even bring him off the bench unless he absolutely has to. I think possibly we were better in the first half against City. Well, obviously. So I don't know if he's going to be encouraged to play Sakho even more. I also think he'll be encouraged with what he's seen from Antonio. So I'm just wondering if there is a place for Hernandez in his thinking. And if, as you say, he's going to play on the bench and he brings him off the bench at all, is that going to be later? Is it going to be to any effect? Or is it going to be in a sort of wide position? Oh, Ryan, do you see any place for Chicharito under Moyes, basically? We've had 4 games. So we know roughly what Moyes wants to do. Do you think there's a place for Chicharito in that?
Yeah, I believe so. I mean, because the way we're crossing the ball in the box, I don't think it's just about getting the ball over. I think it's about getting the ball across. And like you watch how Masuaku crosses. He crosses more on the floor, and that is perfect for Hernandez. That's the way he likes the crosses to come in, not on his head. And it'll just fit into it, because he will run into that box. And a lot of time when the ball's going in, especially like from Arnautovic, like the Leicester game, he was putting some sublime crosses in. There was no one there. So in Hernandez or for say Ayew as well, they know where to stand.
All right. Well, listen, we'll do the score predictions in just a second. Are you feeling confident? Can you see any hope at all for us in this game, Ryan?
Not really. I mean, they played against Atletico Madrid, didn't they, the other day, and they looked really good. So 50 times more organised side than we are. So, well, I'll be happy with a draw.
Wouldn't we all? Gareth, any positivity from yourself with this game? We're at home, mate. We're at home. We're playing Chelsea. We're going to raise the level, surely.
For me, it's a cup final. You know, we either turn up and we want it, or we don't. It's as simple as that. You know, we've seen it in the past where these big games where we turn up and we really give a performance and we all defend as a team and we go forward as a team. And you know full well, like we've seen it in the different Tottenham games, in the Chelsea in the Cup last year, that where we turn up and you would never in a million years think we'd get a result like that and a performance, but it can happen. So I'm feeling optimistic. Let's say that. I think it's the West Ham way to be performing the way we are and to go and turn Chelsea over. That's just how we are in it. So look, I'm looking forward to it regardless, and hopefully we can obviously get the best result possible because we need it at the minute. So.
Well, we need it. Do you think that Moyes himself needs more than an encouraging defeat? Let's call Man City an encouraging defeat. Do you think Moyes needs a bit more than an encouraging defeat?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, it's a results business, isn't it? And I think sort of by the end of December, I think if we haven't won a game, I think you've got to ask the bold questions. Is he the right man for the job? And, you know, is there someone better who can get the results? But take nothing away from the City performance, as I said before, because we were fantastic in some parts of that. And let's not underestimate City of how good they've been this season. So, look, like I said, I'm optimistic for Saturday. I think we can go there. And look, if everyone turns up and the supporters get behind the team, you know, so it's 11 against 11 at the end of the day, innit? They're not any more non-human than we are. So.
Yeah, well, listen, they're a very, very good team. Personally, I think if we can keep Hazard quiet, I think we stand half a chance. I think he's going to go with the Antonio thing again. I think we're going to be playing Antonio on the break. I think they'll have looked at things in training. There was a couple of times in the previous game when Antonio, before Kiate went off, Antonio was telling him, put the ball over, let me run in behind. Now, I don't think that Chelsea are going to leave the spaces in behind that Pep Guardiola's Man City left in behind, which should encourage us and allow us to get a little bit further forward. But I do think if we can shackle Hazard in some way, then there's every opportunity, as we saw with a set piece or with a breakaway, that we may be able to get a goal. And I think with City, as much as their final goal was brilliant, I think he's still not got the team. West Ham are still not as fit as Moyes would like them to be. And I think we just started blowing after 70 minutes. on that really. But I'll be very interested in the comments below. Actually, just was something that Gareth touched on then. If we haven't won a game come the end of December, and Moyes has been here all that time and he's not won a single game, what do you think? Do you think the pressure's on him in terms of would they start looking for somebody else, or do you think they'll just the board will stick with him regardless? I think he's built such a big backroom team, it'd be almost impossible to get rid of him. But anyway, I don't want to focus too much on that because we do have the game coming up, and I do think that as slim as it might be, there is a chance. The 3 horror games, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. This is the halfway point, and there were some promising signs because, as Gareth said, Man City have stuck a lot of goals past a lot of teams, and we made them have a bit of squeaky bum time, that's for sure. Okay, just before I get on to the predictions, now I've written this down. This is something that Gio does every week. Now, this is the bet that we have with Betway. Now, the idea is that Gio comes up with a series, a little accumulator bet, basically. Betway very kindly put £50 up, and if the bet comes in, then the money goes to charity. So it's up to you if you want to follow this bet yourself. We've not had it. We've been close. We've been close sometimes. Alas, no cigar. But you never know. Maybe this one comes in. The bet is both teams to score, over 2.5 goals, Hazard to score, and Reed to be carded. So clearly Gio is he's confident Reed's going to play. That's at 14-1. And I'm not a betting man, but I'm reliably informed that the 50 quid yields us £750, which sort of makes sense mathematically, even to me. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that one comes in. Predictions, gentlemen, predictions. Ryan.
I'm going with a 2-2.
Going with a 2-2. There, you are quite confident. You are quite confident. Okay. Gareth.
But it all depends. All depends if sorry, Gareth. If Chelsea score first, my prediction's out the window.
Okay, well, yeah. Well, looking at the bet, Chelsea are going to score at some point. But so you think even if Chelsea can score seconds, that's fine. But we have to go into the lead to get this 2-2. We ain't coming back. You think? Is that right, Ryan? We've got it.
Yeah. Sorry. No, I thought it was the Gareth. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Gareth, what's your prediction, mate?
I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to say 2-1 West Ham.
Do you know what? So am I. And I'm not saying it just for the sake of it. People, regular watchers of the show, will know full well that I'm not afraid to give a pessimistic prediction. But I do think our luck's got to turn at some point. I know they had a lot of fringe players in the squad when they played Atletico Madrid, but they still have had a midweek game. And not all of them stayed behind. You know, some of them would have. They still had to go to the stadium and do all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to go for the 2-1 as well. And I'll go as far as to say I think Antonio will score as well. And I think the world will look a lot better place if that happens. Anyway, don't place your bet on my. If you're having a bet, don't place your bet on my 2. Go with Gio's bet. Okay, both teams to score over 2.5 goals. Hazard to score. Reed to be carded. 14-1. On Betway. There you go. Right. Thank you, as ever. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you to Gareth. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thank you for having me.
That's
See
Gareth.
you on Saturday.
And you are just on the internet. You are just Gareth, aren't you? What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is _G_Pownell14.
There you go. Give him a follow there if you're on Twitter. That's Ryan Guitar Hammer. You probably know him on the internet as Ryan Guitar Hammer. Presumably you don't play the guitar with a hammer, do you, Ryan?
No, the guitars cost too much money to play with a hammer.
Of course they do, mate. And what's Ryan can be found on the forum. And what's your Twitter handle, mate?
My Twitter handle is Ryan Pope, like the Vatican, POPE guitar.
There you go. Just like the Pope, Ryan Pope there. Thank you to Ryan Pope. Thank you to Gareth Pownell. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, please. Don't forget to subscribe. If you didn't like the video, don't get a thumbs down. Otherwise, we'll send Ryan round with his guitar and his hammer. Until next time, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Come on. Surely we deserve a result, don't we? Thanks for watching.